Shrestha manamapi Eshachi putram atra surupam Rupam tasagajamuri purim maturim gostuatim Radha kunda magirivaram ahoradikam Prato yasya pratita kripaya Sri Guru Tam Gurave Gaura Chandaya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Anandalila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Padipyatya Visundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Chipasta Kamani Tarangamati Kripa Mahitvam Sharanam Pramanam Brinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Brinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Hey Krishna Hey Yadava Hey Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Sham Sundar Sikanda Shikha Smaha Sumurili Manohara Radhikar Sakamama Kripanidhe Supriya Charana King Kurim Kuru Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tayavana Iti Vigyaya Devi Tam Nama Charanantikam First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadeva Paramaratama Guru Pada Padma, Nittilila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada, Ashtotarastasi, Rupanuga Acharya Varya, Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchakalpatarubhyasta, Kripa Sindhubhyavach, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. We are amongst friends. So you can be completely honest. You can raise your hand. If it happens, now and then, on some rare occasions, when you are perhaps not at your best in your best consciousness, that a little doubt comes into the mind. Is Krishna really God? Huh? You can raise your hand sometimes if you can. Huh? Huh? That's okay. It's normal. Huh? Because the first stage in Krishna, before the stage of Nishta, the first stage is Ado Sraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nartha Nivritti. Then, at that time, the Shraddha, the faith is called Komala Shraddha. Soft. And Komala Shraddha, it means it is not Nirantara. Nir means without, and Antara means interruption. So the faith in Krishna is going, but it's sometimes interrupted. So that interruption comes when the mind is unsteady. Because some samskars are there by the association of Gurudev and pure Vaishnava. Some impressions are there. Some desire, I want to serve Krishna. Some belief in Krishna. But due to unsteady mind, sometimes it becomes covered over. And so there's an antara. There's a gap, an interruption comes in one's faith. So we want to come to the stage of Nishta. When the mind is steady, then there is no antara, there's no interruption in one's faith. See, Krishna said, Sankshayatma vinashati. Those who have sankshaya, who always have doubts, then they are ruined because they cannot generate the enthusiasm to fully apply themselves in hearing, chanting and remembering and all the angles of bhakti, serving their Gurudev. They become, when there's an interruption, then that time they become distracted and then they engage in the activities which are pratikul, unfavorable for bhakti. So, Krishna said, Sradavan labate jnanam. Those who have faith, they attain realization. So, Sradavan labate jnanam. Those who have faith, they attain realization. And Sankshayatva vinashati. Those who have doubts, they lose. Their life becomes ruined. So, how can we come to the stage where the mind is very fixed in faith in Krishna? I also have doubts in Krishna, sometimes. Yes. No, it's true. When Krishna says, Na parayam niravadyu samidam, then I'm wondering. Okay? When Krishna speaks sweet words to gopis, I can never repay you. Then I think, oh, I have a doubt in Krishna if he's telling the truth or not. If Krishna will say, Ayasaiti dautukai, I'm coming back in just a few days. Then I have so many doubts. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said, Siddhanta Baliya Chite. Sorry, I can't stop laughing. Siddhanta Baliya Chite na karayalas. Hiya hoite Krishna lagi sududamanas. Siddhanta Baliya Chite na karayalas. When it comes to the hearing, studying, remembering, Siddhanta, the conclusions of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, don't be alas. Alas means lazy, but literally the definition of alas means to be devoid of endeavor. Alas, someone who is alas, we'd say lazy, but what it really means is the absence of endeavor, that you didn't try. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, don't be like that. You have to try. It indicates that it's not so easy, but it's very, very worthwhile, because Krishna lagi sudridamanas, if one will make the endeavor and gradually the swarup, the nature of the tattvas, of reality, will manifest in the heart. Then here, take Krishna lagi Sudrida Manas. The mind becomes very fixed in Krishna, very attached to Krishna. And then there's no doubt at all. Because anubhuti will come. When the heart is steady, the heart is clean, and one has a vision of Sri Krishna reflected in the heart, then how will you have doubt? No doubt at all. So then you become Vaishnava. Vaishnava means someone who has realized Krishna. At least at some point in their life, then you enter into the level of Vaishnavism. Vaishnavata. So, yesterday we discussed something about Guru Tattva. How the disciple should see Guru Krishna Rupaya Shastra Pramani. My Gurudev that means Krishna himself has appeared in one form to give mercy to me. So it does not mean that Gurudev himself thinks I am Krishna. This is Mayavad philosophy. When the Guru is that I am God, and sometimes they dress up. Sometimes they dress up as Narayan or Durga or something, and everyone does a puja. I've seen these types of things. So, in India, this is not the fact. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, in Bhakti Sandarbha, there he is explained, Shuddha Bhaktaha Sri Guru Sri Shivasya Bhagavata Saha Abeda Dristim Priyatamatvainaiva Manyate. It means that pure devotees, they have Abeda Dristi. That means non-different vision between their Guru and Bhagavan. Sri Guru, Sri Shivasya, Bhagavataha Saha. They see there's abed, non-difference between my Guru and Bhagavan. But why? Priyatamatvainaiva Manyate. It is because they consider, because Gurudev is so dear, Priyatama. Because the spiritual master is so dear to Krishna, in that sense he is not different from Krishna. Because spontaneously, naturally, everything he is doing, saying, speaking, is in tune with the will of Krishna. He is representing Krishna in this plane. So Priyatamat Tvainaiva Manyate, it is because of the Guru's dearness to Sri Krishna, not that Sri Guru is the same as Sri Krishna in all respects. This is wrong idea. Krishna is supreme enjoyer. Guru is not supreme enjoyer. Krishna is enjoying so many pastimes. But Gurudev is just the Dasan, Gopi Bhatu Pada, Kamali Dasan, servant of the servant of the servant of Gopinath Krishna. He's a Satsishya, disciple, true disciple of his own Guru. So, this is a Siddhanta. Now, once one has some faith in Guru Tattva, now it's time to hear. So we move on to the next subject, Praman-Tattva. Why am I speaking these things? Because by hearing the Tattva systematically and very carefully, then you'll have a very strong foundation for your Krishna consciousness. Not that Radhe Radhe Radhe, I'm in the Kunj, and then the next day you have a doubt whether Krishna is God or not. This is nothing. This is just like mass hysteria. It has nothing to do with reality. So, Praman-Tattva, if you understand Praman-Tattva, then you have very strong faith in the words of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. What is Praman? Praman means evidence. How do we know that something is true? Why do we believe what we believe? So in philosophy this is called epistemology. Epistemology is not the philosophy that explains things. It explains the way in which we acquire the knowledge of those things. So epistemology is the philosophy of knowledge itself, not the knowledge, but the philosophy of knowledge itself. So that is epistemology, and in Sanskrit it's called Praman-Tattva. So if we break this down a little bit more, Brahma, the word Brahma means Yatartha Gyan. Yatartha Gyan. Yatartha means as it is. Gyan means knowledge. So Yatartha Gyan. You see? Because you can see something and you know something about it superficially, what it appears to be, but you don't know what it actually is deeply, what its true nature. So when your understanding and the actual object are the same, that is called Yatartha Gyan. There's a correspondence with your perception and conception with the object. This is Yatartha Gyan, knowledge as it is. That's why Srila Prabhupada called his Bhagavad Gita as it is. So, Brahma means Yatartha Gyan. And Praman means Sadayati. That by which you attain Brahma is called Praman. The sadhana, that means the method by which you attain Brahma is called Praman. So how do you get knowledge as it is of any subject? By Praman. Now, in Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Shruti, Pratyaksham, Aitiyam, Anumanam, Chatustayam. All different, there are many different ways of knowing, but they can roughly be divided into four. That is, Pratyaksh, you're seeing with your senses. Then, Aitiya means history. There were things that happened years ago, but you weren't there. But you learned from some eyewitness, maybe someone was there, told someone else, and so history is coming down. So this is called Aitiya. Anuman, Man means mind, and Anu means following. So not Hanuman, that means, Hanu means a chin. So one who has a really strong chin. You know, if you punch him, you can't knock him out. So his name is Hanuman. So not that. Anuman, following the mind, means how you are thinking, inference. Logic, you see this, and then you apply your reason to it to come to a conclusion. So Anuman is inference, all different types, inductive logic, deductive logic. So then, last one, Shabda or Shruti, the Vedas or Vedic literature. So, if we analyze all these different types of Praman, though they may be useful to a certain degree, but they cannot give us knowledge of the absolute truth. Even by our sense perception and by our logic and reason, we cannot understand just the things around us. In fact, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad gave this conclusion that without reference to the source of everything, which in relation to this world is Paramatma, is the source of everything. Without reference to Paramatma, everything is inexplicable. Everything. You cannot explain anything without reference to Paramatma. Why? Because everything, they are the various forms of Paramatma actually. So if you don't say this, you try to explain it in another way, then what you're explaining isn't what it is. And you come into just a morass, a swamp of contradictions. You will not be able to establish any point whatsoever. Taka pratisthanat. Logic, reason, it has no foundation. Because logic, reason is a tool, it's an instrument that we use to apply to some premises, some things that we already know. So if you use logic, it assumes that you already know something. So because no conditioned soul actually truly knows anything, he doesn't have any starting premises to begin with. So he can apply his logic as much as he likes. But because his premises are not the yathartha gyan, they're only appearances. So when you apply your logic to appearances, you just get the appearance of a conclusion, but not actually a conclusion. Understand? So, all conditioned souls, they have 4 defects. Brahm pramada vipralipsa karna patav arsha bhigya vakya nahi dosha esav. Brahm means illusion or misconception. So the foundational Brahm is that I am this body. So many scientists, logicians, philosophers, even they try to analyze the world, but they've not analyzed deeply or come to an understanding of who is the I who's doing the analysis. So it's all wrong from the very beginning. So the first thing, as long as ahankar is there, that means as long as the chitta, the consciousness is contaminated, then ahankar will be there. I am the doer, I am the speaker, I am the thinker, I am the knower. So one is starting, how will I understand this? Who is this I who is trying to understand? It's already wrong from the beginning. So Brahm, bewilderment. And then after that there's Brahm within a Brahm. Like when you dream at night, you think you're awake. This is Brahm within a Brahm. So then Brahm, Pramad. Pramada means inattentiveness. That because the mind is not able to focus, we don't properly understand the situation. So just like if I'm giving a class, I will not make it very complicated. I'll try to keep it simple. But maybe there's something you may find complicated but it's due to inability to concentrate. Because the mind is not focused and listening to each point and remembering each point and then putting them all together. So the picture's not coming. Due to lack of focus. Right? Because to hear the first point, then the second point, then the third point, then by the time you get to the third point, you forgot the first point. And then you put the third point onto the second point, and then the whole thing falls down because you forgot the first point. Right? So, when we have an inability to understand something because we just can't focus, it's called pramada. In Sanskrit, pramada is also means woman. Yeah. That means that if a man will be thinking about a woman, then he cannot concentrate. By attachment to the opposite, and it works both ways. When there's attachment to the opposite sex, then that is Rajagun. So Rajagun makes the chitta oscillate. Then you cannot be ekagrata chitta, one-pointed. So, this is why in Vedic culture, the interaction between the genders is very, in a nice way, regulated in such a way that everyone's not in a total state of pramada. Madda also means mad. And madda means intoxicated also. So pra means prakrista, very intensely. So you see the modern society, because the sexuality is pushed in everyone's face from the kindergarten. So then everyone is in a state of distraction. They cannot focus or understand any deep ideas. So pramada, inattentiveness, is the second. Then the third problem is the vipralipsa. Vipralipsa means the cheating that comes due to, really means partiality. Because you have certain desires, therefore you don't explain to others in a way that is impartial. You mix some teachers, they mix their own partiality, they explain things in such a way that it will benefit them. So they are cheating. So unless one is without desire and completely impartial, he cannot be a teacher. because he'll always make the teaching twisted to his what is beneficial for himself. So then it's called vipralipsa cheating, due to the absence of impartiality. And also the students. The students will selectively want to learn or prioritize, to privilege certain aspects of knowledge that fits in with their agenda as well. So there's cheating among the teachers and cheating among the students as well. So no yatartha gyan, genuine knowledge, gets transmitted. So then the last one is Karana-Partava. Karana-Partava means the failure of our organs of perception. The instruments of perception, our senses, are very, very weak. So we cannot see very small things, we cannot see very large things. And so we see that the cause and effect is working, functioning around us. But we only see the effects. We cannot see the causes behind them, and the cause behind that, and the cause behind that, and the cause behind that. And ultimately, Savakarna Karnam, Ishwaraha Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadiradi Govinda, Savakarna Karnam. The cause of everything is Krishna. But our vision can only see an immediate cause. Perhaps we'll look behind and see the intermediate cause, but the ultimate cause, we cannot see it. And so modern science doesn't even deal with it. Many people have doubts today about God because science doesn't give any evidence of God. But when we speak about God, this is an ontological discussion. We're speaking about the cause of all causes. But believe it or not, science doesn't tell us anything about causation. Nothing. Nothing. You don't believe me?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, you believe me? Yeah? Look at that, there's a board right here. That's good. Okay. Let's do some science. There, some physics. Force equals mass times acceleration. Right? So if you can measure the mass and you know the acceleration, you can calculate the force over. You can work out. If you have one or two of them, you can work out the other one. Like that. It's true. Huh? But the thing is here, all these are measurable variables. And so this law, we're calling this a law, is telling us about the correlation between measurable variables. And that's all that science does. It tells us about the correlation between measurable variables. If one goes up, the other goes up. Or if one goes up, the other goes down, depending where it is. So it's not telling us anything about causation. Nothing. It's not addressing causation at all. So when people say that, well, I believe in science, or I don't believe in God because I'm scientific and everything, they have some wires crossed, they're really confused. Really, really confused. Why? Pramadda. Because of the inability to concentrate, they haven't thought about the subject properly. Pramadda. Because of the mode of passion in the mind, they can't think straight. So they say nonsense things like, I don't believe in God, I believe in science. Huh? So science is telling us about correlations between measurable variables. It tells us nothing whatsoever about causation. So when we speak about God, we're speaking about the ultimate cause. When we come to Vedanta, what's the second sutra of Vedanta? Janmadhyasya yataha. That from which everything is emanated. This is the subject of Brahma, the truth. The truth is Janmadhyasya yataha, from which everything is. What's the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam? Janmadhyasya yatanvaya. Same thing. It's a starting point. So all of these ways of thinking and ways of knowing are just different ways of avoiding the starting point. Completely avoiding the subject matter, because this is a methodology only how to manipulate the environment to get something for yourself, fulfillment of your desires. It completely ignores the truth. It's not a method of knowing. It's not a praman. It cannot give any yatartha gyan, because it's a combination of only the pratyaksh, perception, and anuman, the inference, using logic to the premises that you have gleaned from your perceptions only. Okay. So, now, the question comes, how can we know God? I just want to recap a little bit, just to check with everyone. What are the 4 defects that all human beings have?
Brahm.
Number 1.
Brahm.
Brahm. What does it mean?
To be an illusion, to think that one is the physical body.
Illusion. It can be illusion about many things, but the foundational one is about you don't know yourself. Brahm, avidya. So, then, the next one? Raise your hand, don't shout out. Pramada, what does it mean? Inattentiveness. Yes. The inability to understand something because you're not thinking straight, because your mind is looking at a woman in a short skirt. Okay? Pramada. Then, what's the next? Vipralipsa. What does it mean? Cheating, yeah, but more deeply, what does it mean? Partiality. It's the vipralipsa means the partiality that causes one to cheat, either as a teacher or a student, in both ways. So then, the last one. Raise your hand. Yes, over here. Yes. Yes, imperfection of the senses. So because we all have these defects, all conditioned souls in this world have such defects. So they cannot know anything about the supreme truth. So that supreme reality, it is called Sarvatit. Sarvatit means beyond everything. You see this, and beyond that there's something else, but what's beyond everything? Sarva Atit. What is Sarva Atit? Then it is called Sarva Ashray. It is the shelter, the foundation, the basis of all existence. Sarva Ashray. It is Sarva Achintya. That means the ultimate limit of inconceivability. Sarva Achintya. And it is Ascharya Swabhav. Ascharya Swabhav means by its very inherent nature, it's completely astonishing. So when you want to find out the truth, which is Sarvatit, Sarvastray, Sarvachintya, Ascharya Swabhav, then how are you going to know that? What are you going to do? Google it?
Find out.
How are you going to know that thing? That ultimate reality, which is beyond everything and the shelter of everything. What can you do? So we're being very reasonable. I'm trying to be very, very reasonable because people think that religion is kind of, unreasonable or illogical. And science is super logical. So science is logical. But it's not reasonable to assume that it can know about God or the truth. There's a difference between logical and being reasonable. Logic is like math, right? But it's unreasonable to apply just the correlations between variables and say, well, that can explain causation because they're two different subjects. So we want to be very reasonable here. As human beings with limited mind, limited senses, there is absolutely no way that we can know that which is Sarvatit, Sarvashray, Sarvachintya, Ascharya Swabhav, Alokik, that which is otherworldly. How will we know it? I just want to give an example, just to make the impression of what it is we're dealing with here. Because one of the main category mistakes that people make when they're thinking about God or spiritual life is that they put God in the category of a tanmatra. Tanmatra is the Sanskrit term. It's a technical term. It means a sense object. When the universe manifests, it manifests in stages. mind, intelligence, and so on. And as the various elements are manifesting, one of the elements is called a tanmatra. So the tanmatras are actually tamasic transformation of ahankar, ego. So the tanmatra means sense objects. In other words, actually in Western philosophy they're called qualia. Qualia. Such like the sweetness of sugar. Not the sugar itself, just that which is in phenomenology, just what you perceive, the sweetness of it. What is that? So, taste, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha are the 5 tanmatras. That means sound, you experience sound. Shabda, Sparsha, the sense of touch. Not the sense, the instrument, but the thing that the instrument is experiencing. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, form, Rasa, flavor, and Gandha, fragrance. These are the tanmatras. So everything you know in this world is a tanmatra. And it's one of the stages of development of the elements of the universe. So the classical category mistake that many people make when they say, well, what's the proof of God? Is in their mind they've put God in the category of the tanmatras. That God's a sense object that you can just, well, let's find him. And the very techniques, the methodologies by which they discover things which contain tanmatras, in other words, tangible objects, perceptible objects of the physical world, they've put God in the category of such an object. Right? And when the methodologies for knowing tanmatras fail to find God, they say there's no God. But you just used the wrong methodology. Right? You use the wrong methodology. So, God is not a tanmatra. So then how will you know him? Many people think like this, God is some kind of tanmatra. But what are we really dealing with? I want to give a nice example. Once, Srinivasa Acharya, he went to Navadvip for the first time. So as he was approaching Navadvip Dham, he saw the village, the straw huts and mud huts, everything in the distance, and the people, and from far away he gave pranam. And gradually he was entering into the village, and he met one old Brahmin. And he was asking, where is the house of Jagannath Mishra? And the old Brahmin was crying and crying. And feeling separation. He said, I'm going there later, but you can go now, it's just there. And he came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, and there he saw Ishan Thakur. So Ishan Thakur was the servant in the house of Nimai Pandit. And he saw the pastimes of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra before Nimai Pandit was born. And he was there at his birth. He saw his childhood pastimes. How the devotees used to sit and have kirtan. And he used to run into the middle of a kirtan. And say, I'm here, I'm here. Say, what are you doing? No, you called me. He said, but no one could understand that Krishna himself had appeared as this little boy in the village of Navadvip. He saw so many pastimes of Nimai Pandit. How he was crying, hearing for the first time the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And now Mahaprabhu had left this world. And the associates that were still alive, they were feeling so much separation from him. So he asked Ishan Thakur if he would take him on Parikrama of Navadvip. Ishan Thakur said, no. Navadvip is so mysterious, so deep, so inconceivable. It is such a thing. It's very difficult to understand. But then, after some time, he was inspired in his heart. He said, alright, what I have heard from the great Vaishnavas who have realized this Navadvip Dham, I will tell you. And I'll take you on Parikrama. So he volunteered to take Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur and Ramachandra Kaviraj on a parikrama of Navadvip Dham. So he said, I'll take you tomorrow. So tonight stay in the house of Jagannath Mishra. So then Srinivasacharya, in the evening time, he sat down and he lay down to sleep, and he was just thinking. He saw the house, bamboo, mud, grass. He was thinking, how is it that this house of Jagannath Mishra, the appearance place of Vishwambar, the origin of the universe, who nourishes the whole universe, the combined form of Radha and Krishna, how come it's just made of these simple ingredients? He was thinking like that, and as he was thinking like this, he fell asleep. So then in his dream, he found himself that he was on the way to Navadvip again. He was kind of reliving the previous day. But in his dream, it was completely different. He looked in the distance and he saw a beautiful town surrounded by a wall made of solid gold. It had beautiful ornate gates decorated with so many statues. And he was amazed. He gave pranams again and again. And then he entered into the gate of the town. He saw beautiful parks and beautiful houses made of jewels and crystals. And then gradually he came to the Jagannath Mishra Bhavan. It was so astonishingly opulent, not even made of jewels of this world, made of Chintamani. And when he came into Jagannath Mishra Bhavan, there he saw Vishwambar. He was sitting on a throne, and on one side, Lakshmi Priya, his first wife, who is the incarnation of Lakshmi, and on the other side, Vishnu Priya, the incarnation of Satyabhama, or Bhu Shakti, Sri and Bhu. They were standing either side of him and fanning him with chamaras. And they themselves were surrounded by thousands of maidservants, all bringing various articles for seva, for puja and for seva. And they were all beautiful like goddesses of fortune, and there were thousands of them. And they were the maidservants of Lakshmi Priya and Vishnu Priya. And seeing this, he fainted. And then suddenly he woke up and saw that he was sitting in a hut. And then he tried to go back to sleep again. Mysteriously, he fell back to sleep and he found himself back in Jagannath Mishra Bhavan. So he had just had the darshan of the Antarpur Vilas. In the Vedic house, then it has so many rooms, but then there's a garden section inside, and then inside that there's the Antapur. It's the inner portion of the house. And only the ladies can go there. And the husband, he can go there also to meet his wives. So he just had the experience in the Samadhi by Praudamaya. The Shakti of the Leela Shakti of the Dham had given him vision of the Antapur Vilas. But then he woke up. Now he went back to sleep and he found himself back in Jagannath Mishra Bhavan. But he went into another room of Jagannath Mishra Bhavan, and there he saw Mahaprabhu was sitting on a throne, and Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Chandra, all the Devatas, they were doing arti to him, worshipping him. And he had the darshan of the Aishwarya Vilas of Mahaprabhu. That means his play with a manifestation of astonishing opulence. So then he suddenly woke up and saw himself in the bamboo hut. Then he went back to sleep again. He found himself again. He was in Jagannath Mishra Bhavan of the Aprakrita Navadvip. Not only Aprakrita, supernatural, but also Aprakat, unmanifest, the unmanifest Dham. So then he went into another room and he saw the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his arms in the air. Nityanand Prabhu was dancing one side. Gadara Pandit was dancing on another side. Advaita Acharya was offering prayers. And Srivas Thakur was holding an umbrella. And thousands of devotees were there. He saw Ramananda Rai was there. Swarup Damodar was there. Prataparudra Maharaj was there. He even saw Ishwara Puri and Madhavendra Puri. The Guru Jan of Mahaprabhu had left. Many of these devotees have left. He saw Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das, and they were all crying and dancing, loud Sankirtan. And seeing this, he was overwhelmed with ecstasy. And then suddenly he woke up and saw no one was there. He had the darshan of the Sankirtan Vilas. So it was a restless night that night. He couldn't stay asleep. He wanted to stay asleep, but he couldn't. So then he tried to go back to sleep. Because Parakram starting tomorrow, so you have to be rested. Right? His Parakram will begin the next. So then he fell asleep. And in this way, he kept waking up and falling asleep. And each time he fell asleep, he saw another room in the house of Jagannath Mishra. One time he saw the Ayodhya Vilas, and it was Sitaram, Lakshman Hanuman. He saw Mathura Vilas. Krishna is there in Mathura with Vasudeva and Devaki, and Akrura and Uddhav. Even Kubja was there. Then another time he saw the Dwarka Vilas with Pradyumna, Aniruddha, with the Sankarshan. So in this way, he kept seeing different rooms in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Each one was so astonishing. He came into one room and then he saw there was a forest there and he saw Rasa Vilas and Rasa Leela was going on with Radha Krishna and 33 billion gopis, give or take a gopi. We say 33 billion, but it just means a number we cannot count. Those are the prominent ones. So, he saw Rasa Vilas. Then he woke up again. Then he fell asleep. And then he woke up. And then he saw Nikunja Vilas. It was a very quiet place, peaceful place. In a kunj, a beautiful pavilion on the bank of Jamuna river. Radha and Krishna, they were reclining together on a bed, speaking with each other very sweetly. And a few maidservants were there. Some were fanning with chamaras, another one was massaging their lotus feet. And there, Srinivasa Acharya, he saw Mani Manjari was serving Radha and Krishna. And that's himself. He's Mani Manjari. He saw his own Swarup serving Nibrita Nikunja Seva. And then he woke up. So, when we speak about, people say, there's no scientific evidence for God or something like this. First of all, they're making so many category mistakes because of confusion. And secondly, they have no idea what is this thing they want to know. What are you talking about? You're talking about that which is Sarvatit, beyond everything, Sarvasrai, the shelter of everything, Sarva Achintya, supremely inconceivable, Ashtarya Swabhav, completely astonishing. Only by the mercy of the Leela Shakti was Srinivasa Acharya. When he arrived, he was looking at this house and thinking, what is this house? Just a normal house. Why did Mahaprabhu appear here? But then by the mercy of the Leela Shakti, he had just a little experience of what is this aprakrita vastu, supernatural substance. What is this absolute truth? It is not a small thing that can just be caught by your logic and reason and tiny mind. Understand? Are you getting some picture? When we speak about what is the Advaya Gyan Tattva, the supreme truth, it's not some simple, easy thing. So it's completely inaccessible by any of our methods of knowing. That is called Nikila Praman Parisched Agocharatva. It has the quality of being completely inaccessible by any of our methods of knowing. Yet, it can be known. How? By aprakrita vachana. That means transcendental words. Aprakrita. Prakrit means the physical, or of Prakriti, of the material elements. And aprakrita, which is beyond the material nature, of the spiritual nature, that is aprakrita. So that realm can only be known, it can only be accessed by us, by aprakrita vachan. So that's also called Shabda Brahma. Transcendental Shabda, transcendental sound. So it is the Supreme Lord Himself who appears in the form of Shabda Brahma to reveal Himself. But that Shabda Brahma, it cannot be vibrated by material senses. So Sri Krishna enlightened Lord Brahma by Shabda Brahma. Brahma enlightened Narad, Narad enlightened Vyas, and in this way there is Guru Parampara, wherein there is transmission of Shabda Brahma, the transcendental sound, and each member of the Parampara, their senses are pure, and so they realize this aprakrita vachan. They realize Krishna in the form of this sound and then transmit that to the next generation. So, therefore, we were mentioning yesterday, if you at all want auspiciousness in your life, then you should submit to only hearing from a transcendental source. Then one can receive the Shabda Brahma, which has the potency to give Anubhuti, the realization of the divine realm. So, even if you don't believe in Shabda Brahma, you have to admit that theoretically there's no other way to know. Any other technique will not work. So you're left with this one. This is your only chance anyway. So, now, the Supreme Lord reveals Himself through the Shruti, through the Vedas. But Vedas are very vast. And actually now in Kali Yuga, we only have about 6% of the totality of the Vedic mantras. So it's very difficult to know what is the supreme truth only on the basis of the Shruti mantras that we have, of the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and the Tharva Veda. But Srila Vyasadeva has explained the Vedas in the Puranas. And of the 18 main Puranas, then 6 of them are to give instructions for those who are tamasic, 6 are for those who are rajasic, and 6 are for those who are sattvic. But the best, the king of all the Puranas is Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is completely nirgun. It is not even for anyone who is in the gunas, it is for the Paramahamsas who are already liberated. But it is so powerful, it has such inconceivable Shakti, that though those whose hearts have become purified, they will realize Krishna at once by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Those whose hearts are not purified, they will also realize Krishna, but just not at once, it will take a little time. Means, if your heart is purified, immediately you will realize Krishna when you just want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, what to speak of actually hearing it. And the implication is that if your heart is not pure, then you will also realize Krishna by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, but it will take a little time. So be patient. Now, in regard to understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, this is also a very fascinating subject. Why? Because Srimad Bhagavatam has different types of bhasha, different types of language. We were discussing at Schweiben Alp with Pundarik Goswami how many different types of people they take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, apparently, and use it to prove their own point of view. So even impersonalists, they also give Bhagavad Saptah. those who are into karma kanda, then they're also giving Bhagavad Sapta. Most Bhagavad Saptas going on in India are done by karma kandis. Because they think, oh, my father has passed away, and so now for good karma for my deceased father, it's good to organize a Srimad Bhagavad Saptaha. So there are many speakers of Bhagavatam, they're being paid to speak Srimad Bhagavatam to make a good karma for the deceased relative. So you see many posters everywhere. It's mainly for this actually. So the karmis, they're also referring to Srimad Bhagavatam. The jnanis are referring to Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is why Srila Vishwanath Thakur said, the Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna's Swarup. So everyone sees Krishna's Swarup differently. So even the demons, they saw Krishna's Swarup, Mohini Murti. And Mohini Murti cheated them of the nectar and gave the nectar to the devatas. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, also the demons, they approach Srimad Bhagavatam, but like Mohini Murti, she cheats them and doesn't give them any nectar. So, how to approach Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is the best Praman. But within Srimad Bhagavatam, all the statements don't have the same weight of Praman. So Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Srimad Bhagavatam is the best evidence. But all Srimad Bhagavatam does not have the same weight. Why? Because there are 4 different types of bhasha, 4 different types of language in Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, you can see in Srimad Bhagavatam the history of the king Pururava. So Pururava, he met one heavenly Apsara, Urvasi. And when he saw her, he immediately fell in lust. And he was speaking sweetly to her and glorifying her beauty. So, if you cannot quote this from Srimad Bhagavatam and say, look, this is the Praman. If you see a beautiful woman, this is what you have to say. Right? This is not the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is called Lokik Bhasha. Lokik Bhasha means the words of persons who are conditioned. So Purava is conditioned, he's in illusion here and he's speaking. It's part of Srimad Bhagavatam. So you cannot use this as your Praman to prove what you want to say. So that's called Lokik Bhasha. Yes, lamentation of Chitraketu. When his son passed away, he's lamenting. So there are many personalities whose histories are in Srimad Bhagavatam and their words are Lokik, so they're not Praman. For example, Kalayavan. When Krishna, there was a battle going on, with Kalayavan. And Krishna got down from his chariot and ran away and Kalayavan was running after him and criticizing him. So these words of Kalayavan, Shukadeva Goswami is speaking them, but he doesn't agree with them. So this is the Lokik Bhasha. So this is one level of statement in Srimad Bhagavatam. Though Bhagavatam is Pramanam Amalam, but it's Lokik Bhasha. Then another is called Paramat Bhasha. Paramat Bhasha, Paramat. The word Mata, M-A-T-A, Mata. Mata means opinion. And Para means someone, another person. In other words, Shukadeva Goswami is speaking, but it's not his opinion, it's the opinion of someone else. So that is called Paramat Bhasha. So the example is Vishwarup. Perhaps you know that Vishwarup, he taught the Narayan Kabach to Indra. Because Indra wanted to get his kingdom back. So Vishwarup taught some mantras, Narayan Kabacha, a shield of protection. And they were prayers to different incarnations of God, even. Prayers to Narayan, prayers to Nishingadev, and so on. So they're all included in this Narayan Kabacha. So I've met devotees sometimes, you may have had the experience of, you meet a devotees, every day I'm chanting the Narayan Kabacha. Right? So even though these are prayers to God, and they're spoken by Shukadeva Goswami, But this is not his opinion, this is not his conclusion. Because Indra has lost his kingdom and wants to get his kingdom back. And so Vishwarup is a Brahmin, and he's giving this Narayan Kavacha to Indra to get a kingdom. So Shukadeva Goswami doesn't care about any kingdom. He would never teach someone to chant mantras and pray to God to protect himself in battle against the demons so he can get his kingdom back. But it's there in Srimad Bhagavatam. And I've met devotees on several occasions. Oh, every day I'm chanting the Narayan Kavacha. Like this. Because it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. But this is called Paramat Bhasha. It means it is the Bhasha, the language of Shukadeva Goswami expressing someone else's opinion, not his own opinion. It's not his conclusion. Also, you see another example, Kashyapa Rishi. Once his wife, Diti, she was afflicted by lust and she wanted to unite with him. But it was a very inauspicious time, it was evening time. So if husband and wife unite and they conceive a child in an inauspicious time, then their children will be demons. Right? People think, this is a good thing to know. Some are thinking, I wish I knew this before. So, I wish someone had told me this earlier. So, the thing is that, so Diti approached him, and Kashyapa, he spoke very nicely to her. And he spoke in terms of dharma. He said, oh, what husband would not fulfill the desires of his very faithful and chaste wife? This is dharma, it's okay. He said, but still, this is not a good time, so you should wait. So he was flattering his wife to try to bring her under control. So that's another teaching. How to bring a woman under control? It's very easy by just say, oh, I like your shoes. Like that, and then at once they come under control, right? So this is a teaching here. But this is not Shukadeva Goswami. Though Kashyapa Muni is doing it, and what he was doing, he was expressing about the nature of Dharma. But he was speaking in a particular way to try to pacify his wife for now, and then I'll fulfill your desire later. But she was very insistent, and the result of her insistence was Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born. Two of the universe's most terrible demons. So, but though Shukadeva Goswami is speaking the words of the Kashyapa Muni, and Kashyapa Muni is a very advanced sage. He has realization of God. But this is also Paramat Bhasha, because Shukadeva Goswami, it is not his opinion that you should flatter any ladies. Don't try to control people by flattering them. Whether male or female, doesn't matter. This is Shukadeva Goswami, this is not his method of the communication. So, this is a Paramat Bhasha. So then, the Paramat Bhasha is somewhat superior as a Praman than the Lokik Bhasha. But still we don't accept it as a conclusion. Then, next is called Swamat Bhasha. That is Shukadeva Goswami's own opinion. So for example, Shukadeva Goswami in the second canto and in other places, he describes the creation of the universe. He describes how the yogis meditate on the Virat Rup, how the trees are the hairs on the body of the universal form, how the rivers are his veins, how the sun and moon are the eyes of the universal form, and how the yogis meditate on this in order to make the mind become free from the dualities of seeing lots of disjointed things, to slowly overcome Pritag Drisha, the vision that everything has its own independent, separate identity, and they're all interacting with each other in a random, chaotic way. That's how the ordinary person who's in Dvandva Moha, the bewilderment of duality, thinks that the world is composed of all these separate fragmental pieces which are bumping into each other randomly. So, no. As long as you think like that, the mind will always be unsteady. So, Shukadeva Goswami is describing that the yogis who advance, they sit and they meditate on the form of Paramatma in the heart. Why? Because their minds are already steady when they say the syllable Om, then the form of Paramatma appears and they meditate on it. But the yogis whose minds are not steady, when they say the syllable Om, nothing happens. Because their mind is not steady. And so if they try to think, oh, there's this little blue guy, he's about like this high and he's standing on a lotus in my heart with 4 arms, then they're just speculating. So that's not going to also make them become free from Dvandva, duality, because they're just digging up their sanskars of the worldly experience, of the tanmatras. Paramatma is not a tanmatra. You see? So Shukadeva Goswami is saying for them, to make their mind become steady, they should think that everything is just one thing. It's the Virat Roop. It's the universal form of Paramatma. The one Paramatma has manifested all these forms, and there's nothing else. And nothing is independent. It's just one thing that looks to be many different things. And it's true, that's a fact. It's true. And if someone will think like that, then they become free from Pratag Drisha, the vision of separation, separateness, that there is a Swatantra Vastu, any independent substance, something separate from God. So Advaya Gyan, non-dual knowledge, means that you see that there is no Swatantra Vastu, there's no independent objects. There's only Vasudeva Savamiti. God, in regard to the world, the Paramatma has manifested himself in many different forms, so there's no danger, there's no problem, everything is perfect, nothing to worry about. And the mind is no longer disturbed, it's just you and God. So the immature yogis, they meditate in that way to make their mind steady, so then when they say Om, if you utter the name of God with a steady mind, the form of God will appear there. So Shukadeva Goswami spoken this. And it is Swamat, it's his opinion, because he believes this knowledge is true. How the universe manifests, it's true. This yogi should do this in this stage, this yogi should do this in this stage. But it's his own opinion, but it's not his goal, it's not his conclusion. That's not what he wants you to do. He's saying this to teach you some principles. The principle that if you try to meditate on something that you've never seen, you increase your kalpana, imagination. And that's why the neophyte yogis don't meditate on the form of Paramatma in the heart. They meditate on the universe because they've seen it. And by meditating on something that you've seen, then your consciousness will become steady, and then you can experience the Shabda Brahma and meditate on that. So Shukadeva Goswami is giving us he's using the yogis as an illustration to teach us the advantage of not speculating. But it's not his teaching that you should become like either of those two yogis. To follow that. That's not. So it's his opinion, but it's not his conclusion. So that's called Swamat Bhasha. Swamat Bhasha. So that is more Pramanic. That is more Pramanic than Lokik Bhasha, of course, and Paramat Bhasha. But what is the supreme Praman of Srimad Bhagavatam? Samadhi Bhasha. When Shukadeva Goswami is in Samadhi, in trance, and he's seeing the beautiful pastimes of Krishna, then this is the Praman, the best Praman. From this you can know the supreme reality and what is the goal of life. So we have discussed from the beginning stage how there are things that we cannot know because of our limitations. Then how we can know something, that is through Shabda Brahma. Then the different levels of Shabda Brahma, such as the Vedas, the Puranas, and the best Srimad Bhagavatam. Then within Srimad Bhagavatam, the statements which are progressively more and more Pramanic to the best Praman. So when Shukadeva Goswami is hearing the gopis weeping on the bank of Jamuna when Krishna has disappeared from Rasalila Gopi Geet, this is Samadhi Bhasha. When he's describing how Krishna has lifted Govardhan hill, who is dancing on the head of Kaliya. Or when Krishna is sitting with the Braja Gopis and they're discussing. Oh, Gopis are asking Krishna, tell us about love. 3 types of love, which one is best? 3 types of lovers, which one is best? Like this. So, this is all the strands of Shukadeva Goswami, and in there we will find our ultimate goal of life. But by yourself you will even not find it there. By your own attempt, even you will not find it there. So Swarup Damodar Goswami said, Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnava Stane, Ekanta Shraikoro Chaitanya Tarani. Go and sit at the feet of a Vaishnava, a Bhagavata, Maha Bhagavata, and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from them. Then the purpose of these words of Samadhi Bhasha, then it can be understood. So now we're coming to the deep points. Words have different powers. They're called Shabda Shakti. Shabda Shakti. So, they are called Abhida Vritti, Lakshan Vritti, Vyanjan Vritti, and last, Tatparya Vritti. So, even though that Samadhi Bhasha, that trance language of Shukadeva Goswami is the highest Praman, what does it mean? Very difficult. Any conditioned soul cannot understand. Only by hearing Guru Parampara, then it becomes manifest. Why? First of all, Abhida Vritti. Abhida Vritti means just the dictionary definition of the words, the direct meaning. So, there are many verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, they're just telling in Abhida Vritti, the direct meaning. For example, it may say that there are 14 planetary systems. From the top there is a Satyalok, and then below that Tapalok, and below that Janalok, below that Mahalok, like this, Swargalok. So this is just a direct description, it's Abhida Vritti, just the direct dictionary meaning. But some words also have Lakshana Vritti. It means associated meaning. So, you take, for example, the famous example for Lakshana Vritti is Gangaya Goshaha. Gangayam Goshaha means the village on the Ganges. So, you cannot build a village on the water of the Ganges. So, when someone says the village is on the Ganga, it means it's on the bank of the Ganga. It's associated with that. So, this is called the Lakshana Vritti. There is also one type of Vritti called Rudhi Vritti. That means conventional usage. In other words, the direct meaning of the word coming from etymology is not taken, but the conventional meaning, the way everyone accepts it, in the way they use it in language. For example, if you're talking about a lotus, you say Pankaja. Panka means mud, and Ja means born. So born from the mud. But the lotus is not the only thing born from the mud. But still, because we all use this word Pankaj to mean a lotus, then we all know what we're talking about. So this is conventional meaning. These conventional meanings are very interesting because everyone comes from a different background and they use the same words, but it means different things to different people. Just like I was hearing, one devotee was speaking about preaching. Oh, do you do some preaching? And then another devotee said, no, I don't do preaching. I never do any preaching. I do sharing. Sharing. Right? Why? Because they have a bad experience in the mind. The word preaching is really bad. Preaching is when you condescend to everyone in an angry voice and you say you'll go to hell or something like this. They have this idea. But actually preaching comes from prachar in Sanskrit. Prachar. So prachar means to propagate your achar is a prachar. prakrista, in the most excellent way. By your own behavior, you show others you behave in an excellent way, and you teach others how to follow that behavior in the most excellent way. Pracha. That is pracha. So it has nothing to do with the shouting at anyone in an angry tone and telling them to go to hell. So two people are using the same word, but for one person it means something terrible and the other person means something wonderful. One person says the word guru and smiling and heart is melting. Oh, another one hears the word guru and they become angry. Guru means fascist. So in this way, words they have their conventional meanings, and those conventions will be different depending on the backgrounds of the people. Just like in Sanskrit, there's the word kushal. Kushu means, it comes actually from the word kush. So kush grass is very, very sharp. And so only a person who's really expert knows how to pick the kush grass without cutting themselves. So when you say someone is kushal, you actually mean that they're expert. But it actually comes from the idea that to pick this grass without cutting yourself, you have to be expert. Also in Sanskrit there's the word praveen. So praveen, literally it means one who's expert at playing the veena is praveen. But now it's come to be used in all circumstances. Praveen just means like kushal, expert. So before, the kushal meant that you could pick the kush grass. Or praveen meant that you could play the veena. But now you say someone is kushal or someone is praveen at cooking, or speaking, or gardening, or dancing, or anything. Why? Because of this is the rudibriti, the conventional usage. So this is the big problem. You pick up Srimad Bhagavatam and you start to read. But what the words mean to you and what the words mean to Shukadev Goswami can be completely different. You see, this is some of the difficulties in communication. So, we have Abhidabriti, direct meaning, Lakshanabriti, meanings which are connected with the meaning of the words. Then we have the Vyanjan Briti. Vyanjan Briti means suggestion. For example, one teacher is giving a lecture to his students. And one of the students says, "Oh teacher, now the sun is going down. The evening time has come." So it's true, because the sun is about to go down. Right? But the Vyanjan Briti is, "Oh my dear teacher, you're going on for so long. This lecture is completely boring. And I have so many other things to do." But he's not saying that. He's saying, "Oh look, the sun is going down. Evening is coming." But the Vyanjan Briti, everyone understands these other meanings. So, in kavya, in poetry, this is always used. And in fact, when there's love between the hero and the heroine, then especially the heroine, she's so sweet and always using Vyanjan Briti. So that's called Kanta Sammat Padavali. Kanta Sammat Padavali means the words, the collection of words, which is just like, Sammat means like, Kanta means a lover. Kanta Sammat Padavali. So, there's Guru Sammat Padavali. That is, a teacher just do this. Like Srila Prabhupada. Once, some devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada came to him and said, "Srila Prabhupada, we read in your books that the Madhyamadikari, they can preach. So, we are preaching everywhere. Does that mean that we are Madhyamadikaris?" Srila Prabhupada said, "I am preaching and you just do what I tell you to do." So, this is a Guru Sammat Padavali. The Guru can just do this. Why? Because there are some things that you may not understand. So just do it, and later, when purification has took place, then you'll understand. So Guru can just give the imperative instructions, and the Vedas speak like that as well. Satyam Bada, speak the truth. Dharma Chara, follow your dharma. Utishtata Jagrata Prapravaram Nibodata. Wake up, get up, wake up, and try to strive for the goal of your life. The Vedas give imperatives. This is called Guru Sammat Padavali. Then there's a Mitra Sammat Padavali. That means instructions like a friend. A friend will tell you a story, and from the story you will understand the moral of the story and apply it to your life. So he's not telling you directly what to do, but he's just saying, just telling a story. Oh, he may say how there was a king, and one day this king, someone bought prasadam, but he didn't respect it, he didn't honor it, he disrespected it, and then afterwards he was in great suffering. So like that, because some devotee just saw, your friend saw that you didn't respect prasadam, so he just told the story about this king, like that, and you hear it, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and then you bow, give pranams to the prasadam. Yeah? Oh. So one time, it was Ekadasi, and some pandas who were envious of Mahaprabhu, they sent Mahaprasadam grains of Lord Jagannath, and they thought, oh, he won't take it because it's Ekadasi, he'll make offense to Jagannath Mahaprasadam, then we'll tell everyone, oh, he's offensive to Jagannath Mahaprasadam. But when the Mahaprasadam came, then Mahaprabhu, he gave pranams, Dandavat pranam again and again. And then he began to offer prayers. Then he did kirtan and did parikrama of the prasadam with kirtan, like that. So then those envious persons, they couldn't say to anyone, he disrespected Mahaprasadam. Because he respected Mahaprasadam more than anyone else. He just didn't put it in his mouth until the next day, when Ekadasi was over. So, friends, they can tell the story, and in such a way you learn what to do. So it is called the Mitra Sammat Padavali. But the best is Kanta Sammat Padavali. Kanta Sammat Padavali means that in Vedic culture, then the heroine, the lover, the wife, she never tells her husband what to do. She never gives him advice, or quarrels or argues. But with a smiling face and in a very sweet voice, then she will say something else. But in such a way that the Vyanjan Briti is what she wants to say to the husband. And then hearing that, he'll think a little bit. And the dhwani of her words, that means the reverberation of the meaning, will come in his heart then. And in this way, then he feels so much love. And he won't do anything or say anything or go anywhere without his wife's permission. So it looks like he's in charge, but actually she's in charge. She's controlling him, but by sweetness, by affection. So the words which say one thing, but have another meaning, that is called Kanta Sammat Padavali, or Vyanjan Briti. And Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the parts which are in Samadhi Bhasha, the trance language of Shukadeva describing the pastimes of Krishna and Braja Gopis, they are like that. So, though Srimad Bhagavatam is Praman, the best Praman, and the Samadhi Bhasha is the best Praman, but what is its goal? What is the object? That is called the next Vritti, fourth Vritti. We discussed first Abhida Vritti, Lakshan Vritti, Vyanjan Vritti, then the last one is called Tatparya Vritti. So Tatparya Vritti is like this. When a warrior is on a battlefield, and the battle is going on, he takes his arrow and he sees his opponent and he shoots the arrow. So the opponent puts up his shield and the arrow goes through his shield. It goes through his armor. Underneath the armor there's some cloth. It goes through the cloth. Then it goes through his skin. Then it goes through his flesh and through his bone. But that's not why that warrior fired the arrow. He never fired the arrow to go through his shield or his cloth or his armor or even his flesh. He wants the arrow to take his pran. Right? When enemies, they're fighting. He's shooting the arrow to take his pran. But on the way to take his pran, it has to go through all of these different stages. So in the same way, when you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, then just as the arrow all at once goes through, it doesn't go through all at once. It looks like all at once, but it's actually sequentially. So when you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, then you catch the Abhidha Britti, the Lakshana Britti, the Vyanjan Britti, and taking them all together, then you come to the Tatparya Britti, and this is what you want. That means when all the meanings are taken together, what is really being said here, that is called the Tatparya Britti. So what is the Tatparya Britti of Srimad Bhagavatam? We see, I want to give one simple example. Shukadev Goswami, he describes Bahum Priyang Supadaya Grihita Padmo Ramanujas Tulasikali Kulaya Madande Anviyamana Apivas Tarava Pranamam Kimva Binandati Charan Pranayavalokai. Sri Krishna has disappeared from the Rasalila. Where did he go? Braj Gopis are searching for him everywhere. And they're looking for some sign, some footprints or something to help them find where is Sri Krishna. So then one Gopi, she notices they came to one part of the forest and the trees, the branches of the trees are full of fruit. And they're in blossom. And the vines on the trees are in blossom. And from the weight of the flowering vines and from the weight of the fruit on the branches, then the branches are all leaning down. Like this. Reaching down. So then, that Gopi, she's thinking, oh, Krishna must have walked this way with his beloved. Why? Because when the trees saw Krishna and his beloved passing this way, they all bowed down. But now Krishna has gone, but they're still bowing down. Why? So he's saying, Bahum Priyams Upadaya Grihita Padmo. Oh trees, Krishna was keeping his left arm on the shoulder of his beloved. We think. He must have walked past this way with his one arm on the shoulder of his beloved, and in the right hand he's carrying a lotus flower. And as they walk through the forest, so many bumblebees, they're madande. Madande means they're intoxicated by the fragrance of tulsi, which is emanating from Shrimati Radhika. And so the bumblebees are following Radha and Krishna as they walk through the forest. And so Krishna is using one lotus flower. It's not said in the verse, it just said he's holding a lotus flower in his hand. But the Vyanjan Britti, the implication is that he's using that lotus to get the bees away from her face. Like this. So, and as they're walking, then Anviyamana, as they're going by, then Taravo Prananam, look, the trees are giving pranam to Radha Krishna. But when they gave pranam, then did Krishna acknowledge their pranam? You know, if your Gurudev comes or any advanced Vaishnava, then you see and you bow down to them and then you look to see if they'll glance at you and acknowledge that you've given pranam and give a blessing. Like that. So, one Gopi is saying that Kimva Binandati Charan Pranayava Lokai. When you bowed down to Krishna as he was walking with Radhika through the forest, did he look at you with a loving glance? But the answer is no. What? That's why they're still down, because they weren't given a glance, and they're indicating that now they've been acknowledged and now they can do another service. So the trees are down like this. So this is just the general words the Abhida Briti, little bit of Lakshan Briti, little bit of Byanjan Briti we've told. But what is some deep meaning here? There are many commentaries. I spoke on this verse before. I want to tell something, another commentary. Here, gopis are calling Krishna Ramanuja. So why would the gopis call Krishna Ramanuja? You hear the sound, Ramanuja. So then you get the Abhida Briti, Ram, Anuja, the younger brother of Ram. Then you may get the Lakshan Britis may come. Oh, there was an Acharya in South India named Ramanuja Acharya. But what is the Dhwani? The Byanjan Briti. What feeling is coming? Why are gopis calling Krishna Ramanuja?
He's giving pleasure to Radharani, Ram.
They feel shy maybe in the presence of Krishna. So
But Krishna's not there. Krishna's already gone past. They're talking to the trees. They're saying, oh, he must have gone by this way. So the implication is this, that as Brijbasis we know that Krishna is not the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. He's not the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. But Balaram is actually the son of Vasudeva and Rohini. Right? Vasudeva and Rohini. Our Krishna is son of Nanda and Yashoda. So the Yadus in Mathura, they're very famous. For what? They live in Madhupuri. Mathura means Madhupuri. Means alcohol city. Wine city. So the Yadus are always famous for drinking wine and getting drunk. Right? How did the Yadus disappear from this world? Right? They all got drunk and had a fight with each other. Huh? So Yadus are famous. You know, when Balaram called Kalindi, the river Kalindi to come, why didn't she come? Why?
She was afraid.
Because he was intoxicated. So this is, those who in the Yadu dynasty, they're famous for being intoxicated. They live in Madhupuri. So here, that Gopi is saying, Krishna is Ramanuja, because he's the brother of Balaram. She's mentioning this because by Byanjan Briti it means, oh, Krishna, he did not pay any attention to you, trees, because he was completely intoxicated with the love of Radhika. So he's Ramanuja. This is a way of saying by Byanjan Briti that Krishna is intoxicated by the Prem of Radhika. Ramanujas tulasikali ali kula madandaya. And the bumblebees, they're blinded with intoxication from the fragrance of the tulsi. So by Byanjan Briti, the implication is that these bumblebees are following Krishna and they're blinded with intoxication. So Krishna is also blinded with the intoxication of Radhika's beauty and Radhika's prem, and that's why he didn't even see the trees bowing down to him. So by Byanjan Briti, then you'll see that this verse is extreme Radha Paksha. Because everyone thinks, oh, Krishna is so beautiful, everyone's intoxicated by his prem. No, but by Byanjan Briti, this verse is telling that, no, Krishna, he's not even seeing what anyone else is doing, because he is intoxicated and he's blinded with love for Srimati Radhika. Now, any other person just seeing some trees weighed down by their branches, they're not going to think this. They're not thinking this way. Who will think in this way? Only those who are so absorbed in the service of Radha and Krishna that whenever they see something, they interpret it that Radha and Krishna must have walked by. So that means who is speaking this is completely absorbed in Radha Dasya. That is the Vyanjan Briti here. So, if you take all the Shabda Britis together, then you come to the Tatparya of Srimad Bhagavatam. The ultimate, what is Srimad Bhagavatam telling us? The ultimate message of Srimad Bhagavatam is not about yogis meditating on the universal form, It's not about Kasyapa Rishi pacifying his wife. It's not about so many different subjects. It's not about Dwarka even. The Tatparya, if you take all the meanings together, then the Tatparya of Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Praman, is Radha Dasya. To become the maidservant of Srimati Radhika. You can see when Krishna reappeared from the Rasalila, then some gopis, they took their anchals, that means their veils, which was smeared with kumkum, and with kajal from their eyes, which had been washed down by their tears. And they took their anchals and put them on the ground, and many gopis put their anchals on the ground, on top of each other, and it made an asana, and they invited Krishna to sit down, to have a conversation. That is a kanta sammat padavali. They didn't want to chastise him. They just want to ask a question about something else, in a very sweet way, hoping that he'll understand what they mean. So they're inviting him just to take a seat. So at that time, Shukadev Goswami said, when they offered the seat of their anchals and Krishna took his seat there, then the gopis they forgot all their separation. And they felt such great joy, just like the Shrutis before them. The Shrutis had previously felt joy. So here, the meaning is this, that the Vedas personified, they saw Krishna take his seat upon the gopis' anchals. And they thought, oh, I wish that I could serve like this. Now, those actually who gave the anchals, they were not the Yutesharis. They were Sakis. And the gopis thought, the Vedas thought, look how they're serving. The main Yuteshari of all is Radhika. Just see how they're serving Radhika. And so then the Shrutis, the Vedas personified, in their next life, took birth as gopis. And became those very gopis who were putting the anchal down. And because the Vedas are eternal, then when those Vedas who became the gopis put down the anchal, then the other Vedas, they were watching and thought, I'd like to do that. And in the next day of Lord Brahma, then they became those gopis. And other Vedas, they were Vedas unlimited. Ananta Param Gambiram. You see? So like this. So in every day of Lord Brahma, another set of Shrutis see the previous set of Shrutis putting down the anchal and say, wow, I'd love to do that. So if anyone wants to know what's the meaning of the Vedas, then this is the meaning of the Vedas. Service to Radhika. We cannot say that they became Manjaris, but at least they were, because Mahaprabhu had not appeared yet. But the service to the Yuteshwari is there. So in this way, when all gopis were searching for Krishna and they saw the footprints of Krishna, and next to the footprints of Krishna, they saw the footprints of another gopi. Anaya radito nunam Bhagavan Hari Ishvara. This gopi must have served Krishna more than anyone else. So in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam it said, Dharma sunustita pungsang. No. Athapum bidvijasvesta vanashrama vibhagasha swanustitasya dharmasya sangsiddhi haritoshanam. The purpose of all the Vedic instructions, the purpose even of varnashram dharma, doing your duties, at the end of the day, its ultimate goal is one thing, sangsiddhi haritoshanam. To serve, to please Hari, the satisfaction of Hari is the goal of everything. So when the gopis saw the footprints of Krishna and another gopi next, they said, Anaya radito nunam Bhagavan Harishra. This person has done Sangsiddhi Haritoshanam more than anyone else. No one can serve him like her. And therefore, by the Vyanjan Briti and taking all the meanings together from the first canto to the 12th canto, the Tatparya Briti is Radha Dasa. So that was our journey for today. Praman-Tattva. Don't have any doubts at all. Try to be under the shelter of Guru and hear Siddhanta. Understand how we can get real knowledge is only through Shabda, even by default, because no other method gives the valid knowledge. And among the Shabda, then the best is Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam there are different levels of Bhasha. Lokik Bhasha, Paramat Bhasha, Swamat Bhasha and Samadhi Bhasha. And among the Samadhi Bhasha, then it is interpreted by Abhida Vritti, Lakshan Vritti, Bhyanjan Vritti and Tatparya Vritti. And in the last, the Tatparya Vritti is Radha Dasa. So don't have any doubt. This Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, the line of Sri Rupa Goswami, that means Rupa Manjari, the leader of all the dasis of Radhika. This line is giving the topmost and best of all transcendental knowledge and the topmost and best of all divine love. Gaura Premanande